My topic is demand-based pricing in detail explain, and let's go to the topic and let's go to the start. Demand-based pricing is a pricing strategy in which the price of a product or service is set based on the level of demand for it. The goal of this pricing strategy is to maximize profits by setting a price that is in line with the level of demand for the product or service. When demand is high, the price is set higher, and when demand is low, the price is lowered to increase sales. This pricing strategy is commonly used by businesses that offer products or services that are in high demand or that have fluctuating demand over time. By using demand-based pricing, businesses can better manage inventory, reduce waste, and optimize profits. Demand-based pricing is a pricing strategy in which the price of a product or service is set based on the level of demand for it. The goal of demand-based pricing is to maximize revenue by charging the highest possible price that customers are willing to pay. In demand-based pricing, prices are adjusted according to changes in the market demand for a product or service. When demand is high, prices are raised, and when demand is low, prices are lowered to stimulate sales. This allows businesses to maximize profits by charging the highest price the market will bear at any given time. Demand-based pricing is commonly used in industries such as hospitality, travel, and entertainment, where prices can be adjusted based on seasonality, events, and other factors that influence demand. It can also be used in other industries, such as technology, where companies may charge more for products with higher demand, such as new smartphones or video game consoles. However, demand-based pricing can be challenging to implement as it requires a good understanding of the market demand and pricing elasticity. It may also require constant monitoring and adjustments to the pricing strategy to ensure it remains effective. Demand-based pricing is a pricing method based on the customer's demand and the perceived value of the product. In this method, the customer's responsiveness to purchase the product at different prices is compared and then an acceptable price is set. Demand is rarely consistent across products and markets. Consumer behavior and demand keeps changing based on various parameters, so the pricing methods based on demand are used. Demand-based pricing: any pricing method that considers fluctuations in customer demand and adjusts prices to fit the changes in perceived value that come with them. Demand-based pricing comes in a variety of forms, all united by the fact that they play on consumer demand. These methods can vary based on several factors, including a company's business goals, its place in its market, consumer preferences, and the quality of its product. The specific demand-based pricing method a company will leverage also relies on how and when a company enters its market. Generally speaking, original innovators won't apply the same methodology as those that make a budget-friendly alternative. Demand-based pricing is a pricing model that relies on the customer demand trends to adjust the pricing of a product or service. It is also sometimes referred to customer-based pricing, as customer demand is part of the pricing model. In this approach, the primary change from traditional pricing models is that internal factors are not what decides a product's price. Even though the cost of developing product attributes, purchasing material, production, and other miscellaneous costs should be considered, this model primarily focuses on consumer demand, an external factor, to decide the price. The goal of adopting demand-based pricing is to base a product's price on its perceived value in the market. The demand of the product is a good metric to evaluate the product's perceived value. Demand-based pricing is a very broad approach, so you can find several renditions of this model. Companies mostly evaluate their current positioning in the market to adopt an appropriate pricing strategy. Depending on their standing, they can adopt different demand pricing methods that we will discuss in the forthcoming sections of this article. One of the advantages of demand-based pricing is that it allows businesses to respond quickly to changes in market conditions. For example, if a product suddenly becomes very popular due to a new trend or event, the business can quickly increase the price to take advantage of the increased demand. This can result in higher profits for the business. Similarly, if demand for a product falls, the business can quickly adjust the price to maintain sales and avoid excess inventory. Another advantage of demand-based pricing is that it allows businesses to differentiate their products from competitors. By setting a higher or lower price based on demand, businesses can create a perception of higher or lower value for their product. This can be particularly effective for businesses that offer unique or high-quality products. However, demand-based pricing also has some disadvantages. For example, If a business sets prices too high during a period of high demand, customers may become dissatisfied and switch to a competitor. On the other hand, if prices are set too low during a period of low demand, the business may not be able to cover its costs and may lose money. Overall, demand-based pricing can be an effective pricing strategy for businesses, but it is important to carefully monitor market conditions and adjust prices accordingly. By doing so, businesses can maximize profits and stay competitive in their markets. Price elasticity of demand is a measurement of the change in the consumption of a product in relation to a change in its price. Expressed mathematically, it is price elasticity of demand equals percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. Economists use price elasticity to understand how supply and demand for a product change when its price changes. Demand, supply also has an elasticity, known as price elasticity of supply. Price elasticity of supply refers to the relationship between change in supply and change in price. It's calculated by dividing the percentage change in quantity supplied by the percentage change in price. Together, the two elasticities combine to determine what goods are produced at what prices. Price elasticity of demand is a measurement of the change in consumption of a product in relation to a change in its price. A good is perfectly elastic if the price elasticity is infinite, if demand changes substantially even with minimal price change. If price elasticity is greater than 1, the good is elastic. If less than 1, it is inelastic. If a good's price elasticity is 0, no amount of price change produces a change in demand, it is perfectly inelastic. If price elasticity is exactly 1, price change leads to an equal percentage change in demand, it is known as unitary elasticity. The availability of a substitute for a product affects its elasticity. If there are no good substitutes and the product is necessary, demand won't change when the price goes up, making it inelastic. Demand-based pricing, also known as dynamic pricing, is a pricing strategy that involves setting the price of a product or service based on its demand in the market. The idea is to charge higher prices when demand is high and lower prices when demand is low. This approach to pricing requires businesses to monitor market demand and adjust their prices accordingly. The goal is to maximize revenue and profit by charging the highest price that the market will bear. Demand-based pricing can be used in a variety of industries, such as airlines, hotels, entertainment venues, and transportation services. In these industries, prices are often adjusted in real time based on factors such as time of day of the week, seasonality, and even weather conditions. One of the advantages of demand-based pricing is that it allows businesses to optimize their revenue and profitability. By charging higher prices when demand is high, businesses can capture the value of their products or services and increase their profit margins. However, the downside is that it can also alienate some customers who may be price sensitive and discourage them from making a purchase. Economists have found that the prices of some goods are very inelastic. That is, a reduction in price does not increase demand much, and an increase in price does not hurt demand, either. For example, gasoline has little price elasticity of demand. Drivers will continue to buy as much as they have to, as will airlines, the trucking industry, and nearly every other buyer. Other goods are much more elastic, so price changes for these goods cause substantial changes in their demand or their supply. Not surprisingly, this concept is of great interest to marketing professionals. It could even be said that their purpose is to create an elastic demand for the products that they market. They achieve that by identifying a meaningful difference in their products from many others that are available. If the quantity demanded of a product changes greatly in response to changes in its price, it is elastic. That is, the demand point for the product is stretched far from its prior point. If the quantity purchased shows a small change after a change in its price, it is inelastic. The quantity didn't stretch much from its prior point. Demand-based pricing is a pricing strategy that sets the price of a product or service based on the demand for it. In other words, the price is set higher when demand is high, and lower when demand is low. Demand-based pricing takes into account the consumer's willingness to pay, which is affected by factors such as the product's perceived value, competition, and availability. For example, if a particular product is in high demand and there are limited alternatives, the seller may set a higher price. Demand-based pricing can be used in various industries, such as airlines, hotels, and ride-sharing services. In these, availability of substitutes. The more easily a shopper can substitute one product for another, the more the price will fall. For example, in a world in which people like coffee and tea equally, if the price of coffee goes up, people will have no problem switching to tea, and the demand for coffee will fall. This is because coffee and tea are considered good substitutes for each other. Urgency: the more discretionary a purchase is, the more its quantity of demand will fall in response to price increases. That is, the product demand has greater elasticity. Say you are considering buying a new washing machine, but the current one still works, it's just old and outdated. If the price of a new washing machine goes up, you're likely to forego that immediate purchase and wait until prices go down or the current machine breaks down. The less discretionary a product is, the less its quantity demanded will fall. Inelastic examples include luxury items that people buy for their brand names. Addictive products are quite inelastic, as are required add-on products, such as inkjet printer cartridges. One thing all these products have in common is that they lack good substitutes. If you really want an Apple iPad, then a Kindle Fire won't do. Addicts are not dissuaded by higher prices, and only HP ink will work in HP printers, unless you disable HP cartridge protection. Duration of price change. The length of time that the price change lasts also matters. Demand response to price fluctuations is different for a one-day sale than for a price change that lasts for a season or a year. Clarity of time sensitivity is vital to understanding the price elasticity of demand and for comparing it with different products. Consumers may accept a seasonal price fluctuation rather than change their habits. Demand-based pricing, also known as dynamic pricing, is a pricing strategy where the price of a product or service is adjusted according to the level of demand for it. In this strategy, the price of a product or service is set at a higher level when the demand is high and at a lower level when the demand is low. The idea behind demand-based pricing is to take advantage of the supply and demand relationship, where the price of a product or service is determined by the balance between the amount of supply available and the amount of demand for it. When the demand for a product or service is high, the price can be set higher, as customers are willing to pay more to obtain it. Conversely, when the demand for a product or service is low, the price can be lowered to encourage more customers to buy. Demand-based pricing is commonly used in industries such as travel, hospitality, and transportation. For example, airlines use demand-based pricing to adjust their ticket prices based on the time of year, the popularity of a destination, and the time of day. Hotels also use demand-based pricing to adjust their room rates based on the time of year and the level of demand for their rooms. Demand-based pricing can be beneficial for businesses as it allows them to maximize their profits by setting prices that match the level of demand for their products or services. However, it can also be controversial, as customers may feel that they are being charged more than they should be when demand is high. Additionally, demand-based pricing can also create price discrimination. Businesses can charge different prices for the same product to different customer segments based on their willingness to pay. This can result in some customers feeling unfairly treated or discriminated against. Furthermore, demand-based pricing may not be suitable for all products or industries. For example, in industries where prices are highly regulated, such as healthcare, demand-based pricing may not be feasible. Similarly, in industries where the perceived value of a product is largely based on its price, such as luxury goods, demand-based pricing may not be effective. In conclusion, demand-based pricing can be a powerful pricing strategy for businesses, but it requires careful consideration of both the advantages and disadvantages. By using demand-based pricing appropriately and with a thorough understanding of market conditions, businesses can increase their profits and maintain a competitive edge in their industries. Using a plethora of data sources, such as previous sales data, to project future customer demand for a good or service, demand-based pricing is a comprehensive approach to pricing that may incorporate several tactics. What they all have in common is consumer demand. When previous sales information is available, demand forecasting entails a thorough examination of prior sales patterns. Metrics can be created in the absence of historical data using market research, expert opinions, and a comprehensive examination of the precise factors that influence demand for a given product. To create a demand forecast, accurate data is needed. You can start by gathering as much precise information as you can on your individual product. You should also gain information about other items that might give you useful commercial insights. Focus on an individual product rather than a product line whenever you can, because doing so helps you see new trends and possibilities to improve your wholesale pricing methods. Also, examine what your competitors are doing, especially if they consist of successful, high-performing companies. However, keep in mind that your lead time is a crucial component of any effective demand forecasting model. Decide on a volume goal that you wish to reach. Check sales every day against a target. Adjust price dynamically to approach a target. Re-evaluate the pricing every day. Price adjustments should be made till you attain your goal at the highest potential revenue. However, it is crucial to consider additional elements that could affect consumer behavior and perception when predicting demand scenarios and periods of turbulence in demand. Demand-based pricing, also known as dynamic pricing, is a pricing strategy in which the price of a product or service is determined by its demand. This means that the price can fluctuate based on various factors such as time of day, day of the week, seasonality, supply and demand, and customer behavior. The main goal of demand-based pricing is to maximize profits by setting the price at the optimal level that balances customer demand with the company's need for profitability. When demand is high, prices increase, and when demand is low, prices decrease to encourage sales. Demand-based pricing is commonly used in industries such as transportation, hospitality, and entertainment. For example, airlines often use demand-based pricing to adjust ticket prices based on the season, day of the week, and time of day, while hotels and resorts may offer lower prices during off-peak seasons to encourage bookings. Overall, demand-based pricing is a useful tool for businesses to stay competitive and maximize their profits by adjusting prices based on the market demand. However, it is important for businesses to understand the potential negative consequences such as price discrimination and resentment from customers. Additionally, it may not be suitable for all products or industries. Overall, balancing the benefits and drawbacks of demand-based pricing can help businesses make informed pricing decisions that are best for both their customers and bottom line. Price skimming: a vendor who employs this tactic launches a product with a high price and then steadily reduces it over time. The goal is to first attract the more affluent customers and early adopters who will help the business recoup its costs for research and development, government compliance, etc. before gradually lowering the price to win over a larger portion of the market. Price stagnation: this is very opposite of the former. With this pricing method, the initial pricing is maintained incredibly low to draw in more clients and broaden the market. Yield management: this is a valuable price discrimination approach that enables the suppliers of fixed and perishable services to offer the right products, to the right clients, at the right pricing, and at the right time. Demand-based pricing is a pricing method in which prices are set based on the demand for the product or service. The cost of production and selling the product is not the basis of pricing. Demand-based pricing can be seen in many industries these days. The most common examples of industries following the demand-based pricing methods are the hotel industry and the airline industry. Booking a hotel room in January is costlier than booking the same room in April. Or, booking an airline ticket in the winter holidays is much costlier than booking for the same journey on the same airline in August. This is because it is known that the demand for hotel rooms and airline tickets is higher in the months close to Christmas or the winter break as compared to other months in the year. Industries analyze the customer's perception of the value provided by their product or service and set prices accordingly. What the traffic can bear pricing: this strategy can be used when the demand for a product, or a service, is so high that a change in price does not affect it hugely. Also, this strategy can be used only when there are fewer competitors in the market. The maximum amount that consumers are willing to pay for the product is set as the price of the product. This is done to make high profits in a short time. Price skimming: when a new product or service is introduced in the market, with little to no competition, marketers use the price skimming strategy. While introducing the product, prices are set high to make high profits because of the non-availability of substitutes. Later on, prices are lowered to gather more customers for the product. For this strategy to become successful, the new product must be advanced than the pre-existing product. The level of demand: if the demand is high and the supply is low, companies can set a higher price. If the demand is low, but the supply is high, companies can set a lower price to facilitate the sale of the product. Inelastic demand: if the demand for the product is such that a change in its price does not affect its demand massively, then the company can charge more for the product at the time of high demand. Time of day: a customer going to the theater in the evening may have to pay more than a customer going in the morning. Day of the week: a customer going to a club on the weekend may have to pay more than a customer going to the club on a weekday. Willingness to purchase: if the willingness of the customer to purchase is high, he may be fine with paying a high price for the product. If a customer can delay his/her purchase, then he might not opt for paying a high price for the product. Competitors' prices: if the competitors' prices are lower, then the consumer may opt for the competitor's product. It is difficult to set prices for services, and it gets even more difficult for companies to set prices that are higher than the usual prices when there is high demand. It is crucial to analyze the value the service provides to the customer to set the price of the service. Companies must provide enough convenience, quality, and value to the customer so that they will be willing to pay a higher price for it. At the same time, companies must make sure that they cover service costs as well but don't price the services too high. So, demand-based pricing is a challenge for service-providing companies. Demand-based pricing is a pricing strategy where the price of a product or service is determined by the level of demand from customers. When the demand for a product or service is high, the price is set higher, and when the demand is low, the price is lowered. This strategy is based on the principle of supply and demand, where the price of a product or service is determined by the availability of the product or service and the willingness of customers to pay for it. If the demand for a product or service is high, but the supply is low, the price will go up. If the demand is low, but the supply is high, the price will go down. Demand-based pricing is commonly used in industries such as travel and hospitality, where prices can vary depending on the season, day of the week, or time of day. For example, airlines often offer lower prices for flights during off-peak times, such as early morning or late at night, when demand is lower. On the other hand, during peak times, such as holidays or weekends, prices are higher. Demand-based pricing can be a highly effective pricing strategy as it allows businesses to adjust prices in real time to match the level of demand for their products or services. However, it requires a good understanding of customer behavior and market trends to be able to set prices that are both profitable for the business and acceptable to customers. Furthermore, demand-based pricing can also be affected by external factors, such as seasonal demands, competitor pricing strategies, and economic conditions. Businesses should monitor these factors and adjust their pricing strategy accordingly to remain competitive and meet customer needs. It is also crucial for businesses to communicate their pricing strategy clearly to customers and justify the reasons for any price changes, particularly for loyal customers who may feel undervalued or betrayed. Transparency can help build trust and loyalty among customers, even in the face of pricing changes. In conclusion, demand-based pricing can be a useful tool for businesses to optimize profitability and meet customer demands. However, it requires careful consideration and monitoring of various factors to ensure a fair and sustainable pricing strategy that benefits both the business and customers. Demand-based pricing methods which determine the price of a product primarily on the basis of intensity of demand rather than on costs of production and distribution. There are several facets of demand which are relevant to pricing. Firms may vary their prices over time as demand for their products changes as a result of business cycles, charging higher prices when demand is strong and shading down prices in conditions of weak demand. More specifically, particular products will be subject to variations in demand over their product life cycle with implications for pricing. High skimming prices may be charged for a novel product in the early launch phase of its life cycle when demand is price inelastic, with lower prices and larger promotion expenditures in the later, growth phase of its life cycle. Firms may also practice price discrimination, varying prices between types of customers, the location of customers, the time of purchase and versions of a product. Customer-based pricing recognizes the different bargaining power of potential buyers and seeks to capitalize on this by charging whatever price particular customers are prepared to pay. For example, in pricing theater tickets, special low prices may be charged to low-income, price-sensitive consumers, for example, students and pensioners, and price discounts may be offered on block bookings. In addition, prices may be scaled for theater seats in different parts of the theater, with higher prices for the stalls and lower prices for the upper circle. Furthermore, different prices may be charged on different days or at different times of the day, with higher prices for weekend evening performances and lower prices for midweek afternoon matinee performances. Finally, prices can be varied according to the version of a product, with different prices for a particular model of car, for example, according to whether the customer specifies fabric or leather seats. Demand-based pricing is a pricing strategy in which the price of a product or service is set based on the level of demand for it. The goal of this strategy is to maximize revenue by charging higher prices when demand is high and lower prices when demand is low. The basic principle of demand-based pricing is that as demand for a product or service increases, the price should increase as well. This is because when demand is high, consumers are willing to pay more for the product or service, and when demand is low, consumers are less willing to pay as much. There are different methods of implementing demand-based pricing, including dynamic pricing, surge pricing, and yield management. Dynamic pricing involves changing the price of a product or service in real time based on market conditions and consumer behavior. Surge pricing is a form of dynamic pricing in which prices increase during periods of high demand. Yield management is a pricing strategy commonly used in the airline and hotel industries, in which prices are adjusted based on the time of booking, availability, and demand. Demand-based pricing can be an effective way to maximize revenue, but it can also be challenging to implement. It requires a deep understanding of consumer behavior and market dynamics, as well as the ability to collect and analyze data in real time. As we just mentioned, identifying the right price for your rooms means taking into account three important factors: the operational costs associated with selling a room, the prices that your competitors are offering, and fluctuations in demand and consumer behavior. The most important of these three elements is, arguably, demand. How many potential guests are currently looking for accommodation, and what are they willing to pay? This is what's known as demand-based pricing. Demand-based pricing is all about sourcing and analyzing the right data so that you understand your target market and adapt your room prices accordingly. In order to get a full picture of this, you need to take a number of factors into consideration. The experience and quality you are able to offer, specific levels of demand at any given moment in time, the occupancy levels of your competitors and the prices that they are currently offering, your budget and required ROI, in the case of returning guests, what they paid for a room in the past, market fluctuations and whether it is a peak or off-season, the level of revenue you will generate for each guest. Essentially, it's about interpreting the expectations of your target market, understanding what else is on offer, and establishing a price that reflects the value that you are able to provide. In other words, what guests are willing to pay for what you have to offer. And this will fluctuate constantly depending on the level of demand at any given point in time. It's all about having access to the right historical data, such as past occupancy rates and average guest spend, then making accurate demand forecasts and adjusting your pricing strategies accordingly. It can help you generate more revenue by targeting specific market segments in line with anticipated demand. You can adjust your inventory and supply chains in line with forecasted booking behavior, helping you better serve your guests and boost customer satisfaction. Certain demand-based pricing strategies, namely, price skimming, which we will discuss shortly, can provide you with higher margins as you offer higher rates to early adopters. Other demand-based pricing strategies, namely, geo-based pricing, which we will also discuss in this post, can help you identify geographic regions that would be willing to pay more for the same experience than others. Additionally, businesses should be willing to adapt and modify their pricing strategies in response to changing market conditions and customer needs. By doing so, businesses can achieve long-term success and maintain a positive relationship with their customers. Demand-based pricing is a pricing strategy that involves setting the price of a product or service based on the level of demand for it. In other words, reflect the level of demand, with higher demand resulting in a higher price and lower demand resulting in a lower price. The idea behind demand-based pricing is that it allows businesses to maximize their revenue by charging the highest price possible for a product or service when demand is high, while also ensuring that they don't lose sales due to charging too high of a price when demand is low. There are several approaches to demand-based pricing. One approach is to offer discounts during periods of low demand to encourage customers to purchase the product or service. Another approach is to charge higher prices during periods of high demand, such as during peak seasons or for popular events. Demand-based pricing can be particularly effective in industries where demand is highly variable, such as the airline industry or the hotel industry. However, it can also be used in other industries as well, such as retail, where prices may be adjusted based on seasonal demand or trends. Value-based pricing. This involves setting prices based on the perceived value of the product or service to the customer. By focusing on what the customer is willing to pay for the product or service, businesses can ensure that their prices are competitive and appealing. Dynamic pricing. This approach involves adjusting prices in real time based on market demand and competitive pressures. For example, airlines often use dynamic pricing to adjust fares based on the number of seats available and the time of day. Freemium pricing. This involves offering a basic version of the product or service for free, but charging for premium features or upgrades. This can be an effective way to attract new customers and generate revenue from existing customers. Bundling pricing. This involves grouping multiple products or services together and offering them as a single package at a discounted price. Bundling can be an effective way to increase customer loyalty and encourage repeat business. Overall, the key to successful pricing strategy is to remain flexible and responsive to changing market conditions and customer needs. By doing so, businesses can stay ahead of the competition and achieve long-term success. Penetration pricing. This involves setting a low initial price for a new product or service to quickly gain market share and attract customers. Once a foothold in the market is established, prices can be gradually increased. Price skimming. This strategy involves setting a high initial price for a new product or service, aimed at early adopters who are willing to pay a premium. As demand slows, prices can be gradually reduced to reach a wider audience. Psychological pricing. This involves using pricing tactics that appeal to customers' emotions and perceptions, such as prices ending in $0.99 or $9.95 instead of rounding up to the nearest dollar. This can make prices appear more attractive and affordable. Loss leader pricing. This involves setting very low prices for certain products or services to attract customers into the store or website, with the expectation of making profits on complementary products or services they buy at regular price. Geographic pricing. This strategy involves adjusting prices based on geographic location, such as charging higher prices in areas with higher demand or higher costs of operation. Cost plus pricing. This involves adding a markup to the cost of production to determine the final price. While this strategy is simple to implement, it may not take into account customer demands and market pressures. Value-based pricing. This strategy involves setting prices based on the perceived value that the product or service provides to the customer. This approach takes into account customer demand, competition, and the benefits that the product or service offers, rather than just the cost of production. Dynamic pricing. This involves adjusting prices in real time based on changing market conditions, demand, and other factors. This approach is often used by airlines and hotels, who adjust prices based on factors such as time of year, day of the week, and availability. Bundle pricing. This involves offering a group of products or services together at a discount, rather than selling them separately. This can encourage customers to purchase more items at once and can increase sales. Promotional pricing. This involves offering temporary discounts or other promotional offers to attract customers and increase sales. This can be used for launch promotions or to encourage repeat purchases. Freemium pricing. This involves offering a basic version of a product or service for free, while charging for more advanced features or capabilities. This can help attract customers and increase market share, while still generating revenue from the most engaged users. Psychological pricing. This strategy involves setting prices at a level that will appeal to customers on a subconscious level. For example, setting a product price at $9.99 instead of $10 can make it seem more affordable and attractive to customers. Odd pricing. This involves using odd numbers in pricing, such as $7, $19, or $97. These prices are often perceived as being lower than round numbers, even if they are not much different in actual value. Price skimming. This involves setting a high price for a new product or service, and then gradually lowering the price as competition increases or demand slows down. This strategy is often used for innovative or unique products, to capitalize on early adopters willing to pay a premium price. Penetration pricing. This involves setting a low price for a new product or service, in order to quickly gain market share and attract customers away from competitors. This strategy can be risky, as it can result in lower profit margins, but can be effective for quickly establishing a foothold in a new market. Loss leader pricing. This involves offering a product or service at a price below cost, in order to attract customers and promote other products or services with higher profit margins. This strategy can be effective for increasing overall sales, but requires careful management of costs and margins. Demand-based pricing is a pricing strategy where the price of a product or service is set based on the level of demand from customers. In other words, the price is adjusted according to how much customers are willing to pay for the product or service. The concept of demand-based pricing is based on the idea that the price of a product should be set at the point where the demand for the product is highest, which would enable the seller to maximize their profits. For example, if the demand for a product is high, the seller can increase the price to maximize their profits, whereas if the demand is low, they may lower the price to attract more customers. This pricing strategy can be used in various industries, such as airlines, hotels, and ride-sharing services. For instance, airlines often use demand-based pricing by adjusting their ticket prices based on the season, time of day, and how far in advance the tickets are purchased. Similarly, hotels may offer lower room rates during off-peak seasons or increase their rates during popular events or holidays. Overall, demand-based pricing can be an effective way for businesses to maximize their profits by adjusting their prices based on the level of demand from customers. Demand-based pricing, also known as dynamic pricing, is a pricing strategy in which the price of a product or service is determined by the level of demand from customers. The basic principle is that when demand is high, prices should be increased, and when demand is low, prices should be decreased. This strategy is often used in industries such as airlines, hotels, and ride-sharing services, where prices can fluctuate based on factors such as time of day, season, or availability. For example, a hotel may increase prices during peak travel season or when there is a big event in the area, while a ride-sharing service may increase prices during times of high demand, such as rush hour or after a big event. Demand-based pricing can be beneficial for both the business and the consumer. For the business, it allows them to maximize revenue by charging more when demand is high, while for the consumer, it can lead to lower prices during times of low demand. However, it can also lead to frustration and confusion for consumers if the pricing is not transparent or if they feel they are being taken advantage of during times of high demand. Demand-based pricing, also known as dynamic pricing, is a pricing strategy where the price of a product or service is adjusted in real time based on the current demand and supply conditions. The goal of demand-based pricing is to maximize revenue by setting prices that reflect the value customers place on a product or service at a particular time. This is achieved by adjusting prices based on factors such as time of day/week/month/year, seasonality, holidays and events, availability of supply, competitors' prices. For example, airlines use demand-based pricing to set the price of airline tickets. During peak travel seasons, when demand is high, prices are higher. During slower periods, prices are lower to attract customers. Demand-based pricing can be implemented manually or with the help of software that uses algorithms and machine learning to analyze data and make pricing decisions in real time. This approach can be especially effective in industries where demand fluctuates frequently and rapidly, such as the hospitality and entertainment industries. Demand-based pricing is a pricing strategy in which the price of a product or service is set based on the level of demand for it in the market. In other words, the price is determined by the willingness of customers to pay for the product or service at a given point in time. In this pricing strategy, the price of a product or service is adjusted in response to changes in market demand. Prices are typically raised to maximize profits, while when demand is low, prices are lowered to attract customers. The objective of demand-based pricing is to optimize revenue by finding the optimal price point that balances maximizing sales with maximizing profit. This pricing strategy is commonly used in industries such as airline, hospitality, and entertainment where prices can vary significantly based on demand. Demand-based pricing, also known as dynamic pricing or surge pricing, is a pricing strategy in which the price of a product or service is set based on the demand for it at a particular time. In this strategy, the price is increased when the demand is high and decreased when the demand is low. Demand-based pricing is commonly used in industries such as transportation, for example Uber, Lyft, hospitality, for example hotels, and entertainment, for example concerts, sports events. For example, During peak times, such as rush hour or during a popular event, the price of a ride-sharing service or a hotel room may be higher than during off-peak times. On the other hand, during slower times, the price may be lower to entice more customers. This strategy is used to maximize revenue by taking advantage of fluctuations in demand. By adjusting the price to match the level of demand, businesses can ensure that they are earning the maximum amount possible while still attracting customers. However, it can also be controversial as it may result in higher prices for customers during times when they have no other choice but to purchase the product or service, such as during an emergency or a natural disaster. Thank you for watching the video and subscribe the channel.